Teutopolis post was chartered in 1945. World War I and World War II veterans got together and wanted to get a post here at T-Town. They had an official ceremony at Society Hall to give the charter to the first post commander for Teutopolis, Ray Hauser. The first meetings for the T-Town Legion were held in the town hall. The present post was dedicated in May of 1992 with approximately 150 people present, including 4 charter members. The T-Town American Legion post has really helped me to integrate into the community. So personally, on a personal level, it's meant everything the last 10 years to me, but the camaraderie of other veterans and the experiences that only they know what you're going through.
Back in 2005, some members were talking about putting a memorial up, since a lot of local communities were also. May 24th, 2009 is our dedication. In the front is a pedestal with 2 arms going up above with an eagle in the middle, soaring. And it says, "All gave some gave all," into Teutopolis American Legion Post 94 Memorial. In the middle granite and back is the words to taps with a bugler, and it also has the 24 soldiers that gave their lives in combat from this town. When we went back to decide what we wanted on the memorial, it was overwhelmingly said that they wanted names. We come up with about 1,389 names. It shows the sacrifice that these young men and women did, either voluntarily or through the draft. And behind those names are the families. They deserve a lot of credit.
We are a not-for-profit organization that serves individuals, both adults and children, who have or are likely to have a developmental disability. So Community Support Systems was founded way back in 1962 by a group of parents who had concerns about the lack of services in the Effingham County area for their children. So this group of parents got together and formed what's now Community Support Systems. One of the first things they did is they started a school, and it was a small school in Effingham located on Long Street. They had that school open for several years. Each year they got more and more students attending, and they soon outgrew that school. Community Support Systems looked for a new location, and they found an empty bowling alley in Effingham on 3rd Street that we moved into, and we called that the Opportunity Center. We were at the Opportunity Center through the 70s up to about 75 when we had an enrollment of 54 people, and we had once again overpopulated that building and needed a new place. Coincidentally, during that time, here in Teutopolis, there was an agency or a business called Stevens Industries that had a factory on Main Street. They had outgrew their old location and built a new factory right next door. In April of 1976, we moved to Teutopolis into the old Stevens Industries building, and we've been there ever since. In the 70s, when we moved to T-Town, one of the big things that we were known for was our pallet shop. So we employed individuals who had disabilities that worked in our pallet shop. They actually cut the wood, they assembled the pallets, they nailed and stapled the pallets together, and we sold those pallets to local businesses and to local factories. We had a heck of a business for a couple decades up until the mid-90s when the pallet business kind of dried up. In the mid-80s, we continued to have an increasing enrollment, and we outgrew our location at the business office on Main Street. So we added a second location. We secured some property on Harvester Avenue and built a building there that we refer to as the Harvester Center. That was built in 1987, and since then we've had 2 locations here in T-Town. The 1990s up to 2000, we continue to grow. We continue to have more and more individuals coming to our day programs here in T-Town, and we outgrew our center in Harvester. We were able to get a grant from the state of Illinois, and we added on to our location, actually doubling the size of our Harvester building, and that was completed in 2001. So it's been a great addition, allows us to serve many more people and offer many, many more programs right here in T-Town. Currently, we have 2 physical locations here in T-Town that we offer vocational services for. So the 2 buildings that everybody's aware of, the one on Main Street and the one in the Harvester, are facility-based programs. Individuals come to our programs each day to work on vocational tasks and to earn paychecks. So we're supported by local businesses who provide us contract work like Stevens Industries, John Bowes, Struzen Farms, Fastenal, Peerless. Many, many businesses give us contract work. So, and then we also, based out of those 2 locations, we have community-based employment where we assist people getting community jobs, and then we support them in those jobs after they get that employment. So many people drive past our buildings every day and have no idea who we are or what we do. We get so much support from the community that I think it's important that we share who we are and what we do. That way the public know that we are valued members of the community and valued members of Teutopolis. Not only the staff that work there, but especially the participants that we serve.
So in 1950, Runde Clinic was opened by Dr. Joseph Runde, the dentist, and Dr. Henry Runde, the doctor. So they practiced there at that location up until 1981, when Dr. Gerald Runde, the dentist, actually the son of Dr. Joe, started his dental practice. And then in '83, Dr. Charles Runde, which is actually the nephew of Dr. Henry, began in 1983 with Dr. Merkel in the medical clinic. So it was common practice for a lot of medical doctors to prescribe medications out of their medical clinics a lot of times. I remember as a kid actually going to see Dr. Runde and getting prescribed an antibiotic, and they prescribed it or gave it to us right then and there. But that practice kind of faded away as things changed, regulations changed, and in 2010 Dr. Runde had approached me and said, hey, we're expanding the clinic. We're bringing in Dr. Eric Blummer into the medical clinic. We're going to expand the building. Would you be interested in opening a pharmacy here in Teutopolis, since there currently was not a pharmacy here in town? And I said yes. Later on, I did ask Dr. Runde if I was the first person to say yes or just the only one that did say yes. So we started that journey, and I said, let's give it a chance. I think something I always thought about doing was opening a pharmacy here in town. So we started that process, and in September 2012, Kremer Pharmacy started in the Runde Clinic. So since then, Dr. Gerald Runde, the dentist, had retired in 2019, so Dr. Blake Wextra and Dr. Brett Harmon opened Teutopolis Family Dental, basically just renamed the Runde Dental Clinic, and took over in 2019. And then last year in 2020, Dr. Merkel and Dr. Runde both retired, so leaving Dr. Eric Blummer there to basically steer the ship in the medical side. So currently we're still, we're kind of, I guess, the next generation for the medical clinic and pharmacy here in Teutopolis. So at the clinic they provide a wide variety of services from pharmacy to medical to dental, x-ray, lab. So it's kind of a full service place that we go to. So definitely moving in the right direction to where a lot of communities are losing their doctors, losing their practitioners and things like that, but it seems to be very strong here in Teutopolis.
I'm Becky Daters, and I've been the office manager there for the last actually 20 years this year, and I was on the board for 5 years. And there's been a lot of changes with home farmers. We started out in someone's home where they rented a room, or they did hear that, and they moved into the actual bank building, old bank building over here for a while. And then in '92, we built our own building. The mutuals got started because of, fire companies. There was never, a lot of your barns and stuff went up for fire. And, nobody at that time had money to rebuild. So that's how insurance companies got started. They actually started, way back in Europe, But then it transferred over when everybody came over, and Ben Franklin started something with the mutuals. And that's how mutuals got started. Our county and Cumberland County, there was, I think, 52 people that got together and started the process of putting together articles of incorporation for Home Farmers Mutual. But then they started having to buy wind insurance, so you could be covered by wind. And that's how, you know, you have your fire and wind. And then everything else eventually and slowly, like progress goes, it was added on. So hail was included, but your fire and your wind were your two biggest things that you were, you know, insured against. When I first started 20 years ago, there was like 115 mutuals in the state of Illinois. We are down to, I think, 52. The service, the people, and the policyholders. I mean, we've been in business since 1879. So that has to have said something.
We started playing ball probably in the country when I was about 8 or 9 in the family, and we just played on the front yard, and we had a bare spot for home plate. We played so much we had a bare spot in the yard. And today, if somebody would have a bare spot in the yard, oh man, that would be something that was a no-no. But my mom always said that means you're playing hard. What we did was we grew up and we had barnyards, so I grew up out in the country, and our main mode of transportation, if it wasn't a car, it was our bicycles. So we would ride everybody all over in the area on our bicycles, and we'd go to each other's houses and play ball. We had to watch out in the foul ball territory. If you hit the ball, it would go into the sheep pen. And you had to worry about the ram that was in the sheep pen, protecting the sheep. Because if you didn't keep your eye on his eyes and you turned your back on this ram, he'd come and get you, he'd ram you. That was one of the places where we played ball in T-Town, was on Elm Street. There was a lot of kids playing ball there. And another place is up here at the Society Hall. Now the Society Hall was a regular ball diamond. It wasn't a sandlot tile. I mean, you had fences and everything, and this is where the Little League played at also. So we would go up there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and see if there was a game going on. My mom would tell us, hey, you're getting under my skin here a little bit. Why don't you go into town, see if you can find a ball game, and then come back. The Society Hall diamond also had the Little League. And this is when things got organized. Before this, nothing was organized. We always had to do the organization ourselves out in the country and that, and coming into town for the kids where were they playing at. But here we had Little League. And Little League was a different, you know, you started Little League about the end of second grade or the end of third grade. You'd come into the Little League program, and you were in the third grade, and there were kids in the sixth grade pitching to you. Now, and the sixth grade boys got to be pretty big, and we were little bitty kids in the third grade. So, I mean, you learned fast how to play ball and play hard, because these bigger kids, they were pushing you all the time. And there's something else that we did too. After a ball game, you'd get done playing, and Mom would give us 15 cents. And we would go the back alley, and she would stay up at the ball diamond, and we would go the back alleyway, and we would go into a tavern in town, and it was called Brownies at this time. And Brownies, you could walk in, and you could walk in on one side on the back way, and he would always come right up to you and say, what do you need? Well, at that 15 cents, you could buy a 10-ounce Coke and a Snickers candy bar. So we would eat that candy bar and that Coke, and we would sit in the booth after we got our candy bar and sit down and discuss the game like the grown-ups would discuss the game. When we got out of Little League, you went to what was called Pony League. The coaches, they weren't grown-ups like it was in Little League. The coaches were the 16 and 17-year-old baseball players on the team. So you had the baseball players that you were going to play with in high school showing you how to play the game of baseball. And like I said, growing up, we always had baseball in our community. Our baseball program to this day is a fantastic program. Mr. Fleener does a great job with them. And like I said, growing up, it was like heaven here playing ball in T-Town.
Really had no aspirations of ever moving away. Grew up on a farm here and was either going to farm or work in some sort of trade, but decided to, my love of sports took me to college, and I became an athletic trainer, graduating from Southern Illinois University. After college, I was lucky enough to be hired on by a professional baseball organization, the Minnesota Twins. So that kind of took me away from here. Moving away from home was a big adjustment, but it was fun. I bounced around for about 10 years in the minor leagues, all the way from Elizabethton, Tennessee to up to the western point of Edmonton, Canada, through all the different levels of minor league baseball. But I always came home in the off season. The lure of living here, either to visit, or sometimes I spent the whole off season here to do some substitute teaching or pick up some off season jobs. During my minor league stint, I was married to my wife Tina, and who also is from Teutopolis. And then we began our family in the minor leagues, bouncing around from city to city. But we always talked about coming back home. We just didn't know when, if or when, but it was always mentioned. After my 10 years in the minor leagues, I was lucky enough to make the major leagues and be hired on as the athletic trainer for the Minnesota Twins up in Minnesota. I was the assistant for 8 years and the head athletic trainer for 13. During all this process, we raised 3 children. From each one was born in a different city, so they all had different origins. But we always tried to instill the morals and the ethics that we learned here in Teutopolis. And again, we always came back because our families were here, so we wanted our kids to know where we were from and actually where they were from. I had the ability to work with many major leaguers, from Joe Mauer to Jim Thome to Torrey Hunter to Justin Morneau and many more, become friends with them. Flew on charter flights, stayed in nice hotels around the country, but we always talked about coming here and moving back here. I had the ability to stay in touch with our families, and we always kept tabs on what was going on in this little town. So it always had a place in our heart. After about 8 or 9 years, there was an opportunity that we thought we might be able to move back home. Didn't know for sure. And then after the 2017 season, we made that happen. We wanted our kids to experience what we experienced growing up in a small town. So we moved them back here in 2017, built a house, and have since lived here. What I learned here working on a farm helped me in my profession there of working hard, enjoying the job. I mean, there's only 30 teams and they each have a couple athletic trainers, so there's not that many athletic trainers that get to enjoy the major leagues. And obviously, coming from a small town in Illinois, not many people here had that ability. So just the family and the work ethic always kept us coming back here. And their love to have fun, love, work hard, play hard.
And we're back to Teutopolis. This is our story. A couple of baseball-related stories there. I asked Mick Dater, since he's already been interviewed, but I asked him if he ever hit the baseball into the sheep's pen. Did the ram ever get him? He's like, well, I never wasn't smart enough to hit the ball into the sheep's pen, so the ram didn't ram you. Very good. Right, that's
one of my favorite stories too. Funny, you're a funny storyteller. You're a good storyteller.
Thank you.
So he's standing by to take a phone call from you to get a DVD or Blu-ray. We just got an update. We are up to 29 calls, 50 DVDs, and 11 Blu-rays. So a pretty good night so far. We've got this break, and then we've got another round of stories, and then that's your final chance to get a DVD or Blu-ray tonight.
All right, since we had baseball stories, we're in the bottom of the 7th, so let's make a good push here into this program. We got some more papers here with names.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and thank some people?
All right, from Effingham, Illinois, we have Carrie Koenig, Carl Schwenke from T-Town, Mary Lou Esker. That's one of our storytellers to come, mother in the golf cart story. Mike Funneman, thank you, Mike. Mike, a storyteller in the American Legion Post. And that's all I got.
All right, and we want to thank Mike and Don because they told the story of the Veterans Memorial and the post there in Teutopolis. So thank you for
Thank you very
calling in and
much.
supporting.
Great stories.
We'd also like to thank Phil Hartke, who was also a storyteller, Daniel Blankenship, Tom Weber, Marianne Kaufman, and Stacia Wortman. So thank you all for supporting Teutopolis tonight.
I wanted to pass along a little nugget from Peter Nickham's story on community support systems. He referenced the pallet shop that they used to have. Funny thing is, they did it so well that even 20-some years later, they're still getting calls if they make pallets.
Isn't that something?
That's
We need some
unbelievable.
calls tonight.
That's
so
right.
the people who are still calling them, you can
Absolutely.
call us too.
Call us tonight and get yourself a copy of Teutopolis. This is our story on a DVD or Blu-ray option. One is $75, two or more, $60. Grab you one to capture this history on Teutopolis.
So at the beginning of the show, we heard from Mike Ewing and Bussey's Tavern, and he talked about the doctors going in there and the Rundes, and we heard from Joy and Kremer and the pharmacy and Runde Clinic. So
Carrying on that legacy of medicine in T-Town.
It is, absolutely.
Love it.
And you know what? We've heard that name so many times throughout this program, the Runde name.
Yes, and which one is it? So it was Henry, and Dr. Henry Runde was the doctor, and the dentist was Dr. Joseph Runde.
Yeah, there we are over in
There you
the
go. Wave
living
at home,
room
folks.
set.
There
We've
you
got
go.
folks sticking with us tonight. That's Angie.
And it's cold enough in there that Becky Daters is wearing a Letterman's jacket.
For
there.
sure. I'm just about ready to put it on. It's cold in here tonight, but the phones are hot, and we appreciate that. I was going to say over there in the living room set, we've got Angie and Marilyn and Rita.
Whole bunch of
and
storytellers
Rebecca,
over there.
And who else is over there? Tom and Brad are over there with us tonight. So we've got a whole family of people here with us. We've got Kevin and Abby and Molly and Tina and Amy and Mick over here with us. So lots of people from T-Town sticking with us tonight because we've got more stories coming your way, and they're waiting to take your call.
I know you guys know Mick Daters, and he's a lifelonger in T-Town there. He was telling me that he grew up next to Dave Prummer, who was our last storyteller. So everybody knows everybody. So surely, if you know someone that's in this studio with us tonight, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you.
You know, our running theme throughout this program is family, hard work. We play hard, we work hard, and we support one another, and we give back. And that's what we're seeing here tonight. You're supporting our efforts. We wanted to highlight your town and what a unique and interesting town it's been.
Absolutely. Love hearing the heart you felt there in Dave Prummer's story about he went away for his profession. He was a trainer in Major League Baseball. How many people ever have that position for 20 years? And he talked about with his wife, who is also a native of Teutopolis, about coming back home. And they finally did 4 years ago, and now they're getting to show their kids where they're really from.
For sure, and that's another thing that we're learning is, you know, when we started out this program, we started out with the foundation, how this town was set up, and still to this day, that town operates in the same manner. They do what they do, and then they come back and they start their families there, and they grow up, and it's like a cycle.
It is, and that's kind of what Ken Props talked about with the CEO program. Kids are learning about the different businesses out there, and that they learn what businesses there are locally, and that when they leave, they have the opportunity to come back because their community is so great.
It is, and we are honored to showcase this tonight. Once again, our operators are standing by, DVDs and Blu-rays. We're streaming online. We're going to be repeating this program throughout the weekend, but tonight is the night we are live here.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that you're calling in so we can give you a shout out tonight.
So we heard about organizations and a couple of individual stories there in our last block, in our second to last block. What we have coming up, we have kind of T-Town moving forward, but we're going to start the next block with the story about the Wooden Shoe House with Leo Kitten. What a really cool story that is.
It is, and one more thing I want to give a shout out to. You know, this is really neat because you find all the personal connections, and I want to give my aunt a shout out tonight, Therese Matthews, who is Leo Kitten's cousin. So it was their grandma's house, and I didn't find that out until we did this show, so it's really neat. And so you thanked me for putting this on Facebook tonight, Therese, so I thank you for supporting us and finding out that you were part of a story in sort of a way.
Yes, and there you see some wooden shoes on the desk there. Angie Custer taking that phone call. Angie Custer's story is coming up in addition to Greg Hess talking about the Prairie View subdivision, Billy Esker Jansen talking about the golf cart community, and Dave Taylor is going to take you on a little bit of a tour of the brand new village hall that they got there in T-Town.
Right, and then Angie Custer is going to close the show with Teutopolis for tomorrow and leading them into the future. You know, when you drive into Teutopolis, it really looks like a modern town with the updated buildings and the new village hall and different things like that. It's a really beautiful city, village.
It is a village, and it's a nice blend, as Keanne said, of newer looking buildings in recent years. And then you have some of the mainstays, obviously the church, and the grade school is also one of the older buildings in the community.
You know, we're a public broadcasting station, as we've mentioned earlier in the evening, and we rely on viewers like you. Your support and the underwriter support that we receive is why public broadcasting exists today, and it's gone on for over 50 years. We've been here 35 years. We've been celebrating our 35th anniversary all year long, and it's because of the support of viewers like you and calling in tonight to support this production.
35 years, that's 1986. We referenced twice why 1986 was great for T-Town. 1986 is when WEIU got going. And it is programs like this, as Keanne said. For 7 years now, we've been covering communities across central Illinois. This is our 15th hour story, and so we're able to capture the history, the people, the places, the things that make our local communities special. So by supporting us, we can continue to reach out and cover and share and archive what makes all these communities special.
Absolutely, and we want to do that as your public broadcasting station. And you know, we also offer PBS Kids programming, so it goes to support efforts all along the station front, whether it's education, entertainment, music, whether you're into cooking or quilting, or all of the different types of history programs that we have, health. We offer an immense amount of programs covering all kinds of different topics, and it's because of your support that we're allowed to continue doing this.
Bringing programming that informs you, and again, programs like this that are able to capture and archive the history in our local communities, and the history in this program is just mind-blowing, the great history in Teutopolis.
It is, and we've got a lot of the history sitting here in the studio with us this evening. Jackson is over there, and he's got the video camera, and those FFA jackets standing on that coat tree right beside Jackson are Elizabeth Widener's.
Absolutely.
And then the letter jackets are the daters, and then we've got different things up on the shelving over there that relate to all types of things Teutopolis, whether it's Seymour Milling, the Knights of Columbus, the agriculture, the wooden shoes, the sports. It's all here tonight. The people are here tonight. You're supporting us at home or wherever you may be. So thank you, T-Town, for supporting WEIU tonight.
Thank you, and it's what's beautiful is everybody in this community knows everybody, regardless of what they do, profession, education, age, it doesn't matter. Everybody in T-Town works together to make it happen.
So we're going to be getting back to the show here in just a minute, and then we're going to close. You'll have one more chance to order your Blu-rays or DVDs. If you're just now tuning in and you've missed the rest of the show, you'll get a chance to see a repeat of it over the weekend. We've got some different airings coming on. Tonight's version will live on YouTube eventually, but the DVD is what you'll be able to keep for yourself or give it away as a gift by calling in tonight or going online at weiu.net.
And if you're not from Teutopolis, this could be a part of your collection of central Illinois communities that you can have, the history of T-Town. I know the folks in T-Town are proud to see their community on the air tonight, sharing their stories from the very beginning of the town origin to what we're going to see here to round out the program, looking at some of the forward-thinking things in T-Town.
All right, well, we've got a few more stories coming your way. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories coming your way, and then we're going to be offering the DVDs and Blu-rays once again.
Give us a
Don't
call.
go anywhere. We're closing the program soon. Teutopolis, this is our story.